I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Noelle Stelling had just been told by a Pennsylvania detective she'd been used by an ice-cold con man. She got on the line to Paul Kruger.
Right away I said, why would a detective be calling me in regards to you? What did you get me into? And I was really scared that maybe he got me involved in something illegal.
So you're saying, what's the deal, dude? What's he saying back to you?
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, slow down, calm down. Who is this? Who called you? He was very surprised, shocked.
Paul assured her it was all just a big misunderstanding. Noelle, getting wise to him, played along.
I pretended that I was still on his side, that I believed in him in hopes I would get my money back.
Every time you think that you've seen it all, one more comes by and surprises you.
5 weeks after Noelle left Kruger in Atlantic City, Bob Sander in the Montgomery County DA's office in Pennsylvania was still shaking his head at the scale of Paul Kruger's scams. He and officers across the state line in New Jersey had come up with a plan to close the net around their missing conman suspect. His bank withdrawals indicated that he spent a lot of time in Atlantic City, but that was a big boardwalk. Kruger could be anywhere. 2 detectives were assigned to find him.
So you're just making cold calls at the casinos?
The 2 of them are going casino to casino and calling me over the phone at the same time, letting me know what's going on, and we're still looking for him.
Then Sander, the prosecutor, was dealt a lucky card. Literally, a plastic one issued by the casinos. It contained account information the cops needed.
When you go to gamble nowadays, in order to get your comps, you have a card with an account number. And we knew that that was one way we were going to track them.
Making their rounds of Atlantic City's casinos, the detectives arrived at Harrah's and hit the law enforcement jackpot. That's where security staff noticed that Kruger had recently swiped his member's card in the High Rollers Lounge.
He was in the casino.
He was in the casino.
The detective swooped down as Kruger, sitting with his laptop computer, nursed a soda.
He actually said I shouldn't have ordered that second Coke.
After years of scamming, Kruger had finally been wrapped up and was soon transferred back to Pennsylvania, where he was charged and thrown in jail. But as clear-cut as the case against Kruger seemed to Assistant DA Sander, would he be able to make charges of fraud and theft stick to a man who received checks in the mail from willing admirers? And Sander wasn't sure he could bring in any witnesses to testify against Kruger.
Remember, these are women, most of whom were pretty sophisticated, a lot of whom had relationships in the high society. A lot felt embarrassed once their name became public.
And imagine people are saying, how could they have been so stupid as to write a total stranger, in many cases, a check for $5,000?
And this individual knew how to prey on their weaknesses.
Do you think there are more?
Absolutely. We haven't been able to find them, but he was good. He knew how to manipulate people.
Kruger, who had scammed more than $100,000 out of at least 13 people from all over the country, was facing at least 7 years in prison if District Attorney Risa Furman could persuade a judge.
It wasn't petty cash, but we're talking about $5,000, $10,000 here and there, scattered in different states. It didn't have to become a whole bring down the guy investigation, and it did.
I think it did have to be a bring down the guy investigation because he had done something like this before. He was on probation for an earlier case. He was systematically targeting women so that he could steal their money and then brought other people into it. So he stole a lot of money from people. And you can't, as the DA, ignore that.
And in some cases, join him in bed.
That's true, too.
Even after he doesn't look like the webpage photo from 20 years before.
He's a homeless scam artist who's operating with a laptop on a park bench. Go figure.
In a plea deal, Kruger pleaded guilty to theft and was handed a sentence of 3 to 7 years and ordered to pay back the money to his victims.
It was about the money, but more so, it was his friendship.
And he just trashed it.
Absolutely.
But when all was said and done, there was still a big gap in this case. Kruger hadn't been to court, hadn't been on the witness stand, and so he hadn't told authorities his side of the story. So apart from the fact that he was a convicted con man, nobody seemed to know for sure how much of his story was true. Until maybe now. Dateline recently visited Kruger in prison in Somerset, PA, and heard his version. When we come back, we'll try to piece together the life of the mysterious Mr. Kruger.